This is the PIC32 keyer project, and I'm going to attempt to show some of the various hardware pieces for the insides and the enclosure. I just did a clear display operation to clear out the bottom rows of the LCD, and it's showing that the current display mode is to scroll through 3 rows, and if you change the mode, that'll scroll only the bottom 2 rows, that'll scroll all 4 rows, and this is the normal operating mode where I keep a few of the settings displayed up on top, and then scroll the CW characters on the 3 bottom rows. So it's possible that someone using the decoder would want all 4 lines, but this again is my default. The previous CAN message, of course, was coming from the keyboard. Oops. Okay, the completed assembly has the LCD mounted on the front panel, connected by cables to the main circuit board, which has a Uno 32 chip kit board on the bottom. And so this is the LCD assembly ready for mounting on the front. And this is the circuit board ready for a Uno 32 to be installed on this side. In the printed circuit board layout, this is the component side, but in the enclosure, it's the bottom side, so that the pots and the reset switch, and this one does not yet have one pot and the reset switch installed. Haven't finished building up that one, but if I put that away, and this one is fully complete. And it has 3 pots, one for the side tone volume, one for the drive level to the sound card for ICW use, and one for the received ICW audio volume, and a reset switch over here. And this is a pot for controlling the paddle speed if a keyboard is not connected. So unlike my previous keyers that used push button switches to control the paddle speed as a standalone unit, this one has a pot for that purpose. I'll demonstrate that in a moment. And this is the other side with the chip kit board plugged in, and this area down here is the Hypermite. It does not have the chips in it yet because I haven't fully tested this one yet. And this other socket is the EEPROM that's used for storing the user settings and the canned messages. So makes a fairly decent little assembly. The speed pot, right now it's set fully counterclockwise, and that's the position when we want to vary the paddle speed with the arrow keys on the keyboard. So normal operation, you set the focus for the arrow keys to either the keyboard or the paddle. You can see the equal sign shows right now the paddle is the focus of the arrow keys, so the arrow keys will change that speed. I just accidentally hit another key because I wasn't looking at the keyboard, and the focus left speed, and it's now on compensation. So the arrow keys now are focused on the compensation parameter, which is the amount of time in milliseconds added to or subtracted from each element. And the steps are in units of 0.1 milliseconds or 0.5 milliseconds. So I did not intend to go to that. Let me go back to clear the display and put the focus back on paddle and now on keyboard. So right now with the focus on paddle, the arrow keys control it, but if I don't have a keyboard attached, I can then just use this knob, and it starts off at 15 words a minute and goes up to almost 50 words a minute. It's possible the exact range won't be identical, and there's a slight thing: if you turn the pot down too quickly, it does not know that you're at the lowest setting. There's a reason for that, but if you turn it off of 0 a little bit and turn it smoothly, you've now got smooth control. It's just that anyone wanting to use the lower speeds, if they have it up at a high speed and too quickly turn it down, they'll need to tweak it back off a little bit. I don't think I will ever bother to address that in software. I think it's a minor enough point to not matter at all. Looking at something, it looks like somehow or another I reset it. I'm not sure of how. That would be interesting if it had anything to do with that. I don't know where that reset might have come from, but I will ignore it for now. I still have minor features that I'm working on in the software. I haven't had any actual bugs, but if there's something to do with that speed pot that caused it to reset itself, I will need to look into that. So that's the completed assembly. There's the piezo speaker here, so that if you don't have an external speaker connected, turn the external speaker off. You have the very crude piezo for testing with, but of course it's intended that one will always use either headphones or an external speaker and use the high quality side tone. So the enclosure is just made up with a bunch of acrylic panels, some of them with holes, some without, and they get glued together to form the empty enclosure. And I worked out a slightly different and I hope improved method of gluing them, so that this is the best one I've ever done. It's got pretty good right angle joints, and hopefully I can remember how to do that for the next two that I need to build up. So that's pretty much it. I will go off and see if I can get that reset to come up. Maybe I accidentally pressed the reset button when my hand was back here. That's the most likely thing. There is a reset button here that resets the processor in case one ever needs to for some reason. And I bet you I bumped into that by accident when I was back there. It takes a couple of seconds for the reset to occur, and it just happened then. So maybe I won't worry about that unless I ever run across it again. So I think that's enough for now. Oh yeah, one other thing. Someone may have noticed that the display showed the word mail on my Mac computer. All of my audio output goes to the sound card, which means it goes to the keyer, so all audio notifications actually show up on the keyer, and I use a CW notifier for many things, so new mail ends up with the word mail being sent in CW and displayed on the keyer, for what that's worth.